Okay, this is a tutorial on how to create that Bizarro effect. You know, it may not be perfect, but obviously I think it'll be as perfect as you can draw the shapes on your face, because I think we got the mechanics for it just the way they need to be. If you can just make your shapes really cool looking, I think you're going to have a really good Bizarro look if you use this effect. It's pretty darn easy, you know, easier than you would think to do. I was recommended to do a tutorial by HB Productions and After Effects Mad. You may want to go check out them on YouTube. I will show you. Here's After Effects Mad. He's got some pretty cool stuff. He's done my heat vision, which is pretty cool to see somebody actually doing my tutorials. And you got HP Production. He's done his own really cool heat vision with fire in the eyes, so you may want to go check him out. He's a pretty good guy. Okay, so let's get back to the tutorial. Let me go find it. I lost the tutorial. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we're back to the tutorial. Anyways, okay, so basically get your footage. You're going to want to track the eyes, just like I did in my heat vision. Track your eyes and export it to a null object, because you need be able to track the face to parent the effects to the face, so they follow the face throughout the scene. Okay, so I have my null here. I have my footage, and all I did was first create one solid. I made a gray solid. Try to get as close to the gray as possible that you're going to be using for this. And all I did was I just took some masks and just drew some masks out. Basic blocky shapes for the eyebrows, the main features of the face, the chin. These can be any shape you want. The cooler the shapes, the better it's going to look. The more shapes, it may look better. Do some around the eyes, maybe, make the eyes look more boxed in looking, kind of like his were. So that all depends on how good you are at drawing the masks. I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to go crazy on it. Basically, just wanted the idea to make sure it was going to work. Okay, once you do that, here's my masks, and all I did was add a bevel to it. Let's go and show you the difference of the things. I added a bevel alpha to it, and it kind of bevels the thing, extrudes everything to make everything look like it's 3D. Just like if you were going to take some text, 2D text, and give it a shadow or a bevel or something like that to bevel it out, just give it a 3D look. Well, that's basically all you're doing. You're just basically taking a 2D image and beveling it out, and it makes it look like it's 3D. So, and just play with your edge thickness, the light angle, to create the right angle that you need for your shot to make it look like it's beveling out and not in, unless you like the inward look. And for an extra effect, I added some CC glass filter to it. Kind of, if you play with the settings on CC glass, you'll notice you get kind of a little bit of better effect. You don't have to do that, but it's just one thing that I play with. That seemed to look kind of cool, if you screw with it. And I also added a brightness and contrast to it, so I can adjust it to where the skin color was on the outside. The darker regular colors were on the outside, so only the highlights and the shadows were on the edges. So you may want to add that. It just helps because basically you don't want really any color to this part. This is just for the shapes. This is to create the structure of the face, or in the shape and everything. So you don't want to really add any kind of color or anything like that to it. Alright, I set that for a luminance blend on there. And I also turned the opacity down on the main layer to 29%, because if you turn it up all the way, it's way too sharp. So try to, this is kind of what you're going to have. So when you first start, so you got to try to picture in the future what it's going to look like if you turn the opacity down. So turn the opacity down, start at 0, and I kind of work my way up until I just got it to where it just started showing. Because that's all you want. You just want it to show. You don't want too crazy in there. So there's 29% that I chose. Okay, so there's your shape. And then also you have to make a color layer. Basically just the color in the face. So on that, I also had to create some masks. Basically, I just outlined his face, did a rough outline of his face. Okay, let's pretend the masks weren't there. Right now we're just working on a totally different layer. I made that a gray layer, of course. I just went and ran a mask around him, and that's an add mask. And then I did a subtract mask on the eyes, around the eyes, the nostril. If you had another one showing there, you'd have that one. In the mouth, of course. And then I did feathered them in to where it kind of just looked right, because you don't want a sharp edge. You kind of want to feather it in just a little bit. So you're going to have to do one at a time. Maybe you can do the eyes at the same time, obviously. Maybe the lips, but I would do them all separately just to make sure you get more of their feather. You want more of a feather on the face, so it kind of blends into the hair a little bit better and down to the neckline. And if you got the edges here, you don't want it really showing a lot sharp edges off the sides there. So just do definitely the head separately. And these two can be done the same, maybe this one. Okay, so basically once you get your mask on a gray layer, just add a hue and saturation to it this way and set it to colorize and start tweaking the settings until you get the right look, because this is what basically I had before. Kind of, a regular gray. You'll never get the color right the first time, so you might as well try colorizing it with the hue and saturation, just so you get, you get the color you're looking for. Let me turn the mask off so you can see it. So, basically it looks like a gray Hulk wearing lipstick or something like that. You don't want that. So, you kind of want to blend it in with the color of the face too, just to give him that, that gray look. And here's before, regular skin color, and that's his skin color. And of course, I said that for a saturation blend, so it just affects the color, the saturation of it. Okay, and also the opacity, you can change the opacity on the main layer if you want, but I just left it at 100%, seemed fine. And underneath, of course, that's where you want your shapes. You want your shapes underneath the color layer. So there you go. You have your shapes under a color layer, and they're both parented to the newel that follow the face. So now they actually follow the face. And let's go to the final layer, and I'll show you what I did there. Basically, I pre-comped the newel and the two solids that I made, not the footage. And I pre-comped those into their own comp. And on the pre-comp of the shape and the color that I made, I added a radial wipe effect to it. Okay, so here's my layer that I made my effects to. I kept it at a normal blend, and all I did was add a radial wipe to it, and just added a few keyframes for the transition completion. Basically, just to to kind of make it fluctuate a little bit. And for the start angle, I did like 4 or 5 keyframes, just 2 close together, spaced a little bit, then 2 more close together, and at different settings. And then I did a loop out cycle to it. This way, it continues that fluctuation, those keyframes that I did, it continues it. This way, you get a sporadic kind of jitter to it. And you can probably just add a wiggle, a really quick wiggle effect to it, and that'll work. And that will be, you want to add that to your starting angle. Basically, let me reset this and I'll show you. Let's go to counterclockwise. This is all it does. If you want to, this is completely reset. I set it for counterclockwise, so the stuff's on this side. So the effect's on that side. Let me undo that. And transition completion, you set it for anywhere you want. But say this, for instance, say the sun's on this side. You set it for 50%. It's on this side. Feather it so it blends in just like that, so you don't get that sharp edge. It'll blend in with the other side of the face. That way you get a nice blend. Then you can play with your starting angle, kind of like as this, the sun fluctuates. If he gets under it this way, and then you can just kind of just like this. You play with the starting, and that's why you want the starting angle to fluctuate, because that's what brings it around in circles, like that. And then you can play with your transition completion. You can do the counterclockwise thing, have that jitter completely back and forth, like that. Just a really quick go back and forth if you want. However you want to do it. Just play with the settings on that, and then you get that cool effect. But I found just adding a simple loop out cycle with a couple jittery keyframes to the start angle gives that nice sporadic kind of look to it. That's basically it. Hopefully, this wasn't too quick for you, but I had to try to hurry up to beat the time limit. Hopefully that helps.